Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is -4 at the moment, so it is cold. Where the reason why we are a bit late starting is because of that very thing. When I initially got up, it was -6, so I was like, okay, maybe we'll wait a bit. Maybe we'll wait a bit and see what happens, and hopefully, you know, it'll warm up a bit. Oh, but yes, good morning, good morning, good morning once again. Good morning, Cathal OG. Good morning, David. Good morning to you. Like I say, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Good Morning Walk. Like I say, pull up a chair, get your blankets out, get your coffee out, your warm drinks, because it's going to be a cold one today. In fact, I am surprised it hasn't snowed, to be honest. That is easily one of the biggest surprises that we've had so far. No snow. Although other areas have had a lot of snow indeed. We haven't had it yet, which is quite suspicious. Helen looks frosty. Yep, indeed it is. Like I say, it's -4 at the moment. So, oh, it's a bit cold. Ugh. Oh, they've got some newfangled gate set up. How are we going to get through this? Oh, let's find out. Nope. Oh. Have they got a sty for us to jump over? Oh, no. Well, that looks like it. Oh. Right. Whew. Right. This is the new gate we've now got to traverse. Of course, this poor frozen pony. Alma, good morning to you. Jonan K, good morning to you. 27 Bikers, good morning to you from Lubin in Poland. Lots of snow and steel. Going to pick 40 centimeters today. Ooh, yeah, a lot of snow for you then. Oh, a lot of snow for you. Matt C, good morning to you. Crisp greetings from Scotland too. Right. Yeah, how are we going to tackle this? I think it's a climbing job. Unless that is a gate and we can use that and it's just the ponies in the way. I think that might be the case. I think that pony is just in the way. Can we move you? Come on, boy. I know you're going to be cold. It is as well. It is. It is. That's the gate. They've given us a gate, but we can't get through because the pony's in the way. Oh, you have to be difficult about this, my friend, don't you? Oh. So yes, welcome to the Good Morning Walk. As always, look at him. I don't know if you can see it this well. Are you the gatekeeper? Yes, are you the gatekeeper? I suppose you are. Oh. Right. I think this is going to have to be maybe a climb job. I don't think you're going to move.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
How do we get past then? Or don't we?
I think there's a new gate there, so this is my first time doing it. But as you can see, he's
like climbing over.
Not
going behind it.
No. Oh. No, not interested. Too cold. Too cold. No, it's not moving today.
See you later.
Right, see ya. 1 second. Let's put you there. Let's put you there for a second. There we go. See if we can do this. Yes, the assault course route, yep. Anyway, good morning. Welcome, of course, once again to the Good Morning Walk. I do apologise, like I say. There is a gate you can actually use. That's quite good gate. The only problem is it's, say this guy's in the way. But anyway, yes, we do still have, of course, lots to talk about this morning. And of course, as always, bringing you the best ponies. As always. So, where to begin? Where to begin today? Let's start off with the Trump news. So I don't know if people have heard about the Trump news today, because that was kind of interesting. As you know, of course, Donald Trump's legal troubles continue to pile on him. And to be honest, once again, it's not looking good for old Trumpy boy, which is kind of hilarious. One of the big arguments that Trump was making, if you've been following this, is that he should not be liable for any crimes he committed while he was president. He keeps on saying, any crimes or anything that they are trying to get me on during this time, well, I have presidential immunity and it somehow carries over even though I'm not president anymore. To which a judge has now told him this morning, no, that is not the case. You are, you are not, immune indefinitely. So this has been yet again a big disappointment for Trump, because he was hoping, 91 Leeds, good morning to you. I think he was hoping against hope that would somehow save his bacon. Especially in the Georgia case, by the looks of it. Pretty Bird, greetings, good morning to you. Like I say, please do remember to click on the like and share button as you are sort of popping on in. Like I say, hope you're wrapped up warm today, because it's a bit cold. It's a bit cold this morning. So yeah, Trump's legal troubles are ongoing, continuing, and to be honest, couldn't have happened to a nicer person. Worst nightmare, good morning to you. But yes, welcome, come on in. And of course, the other thing we're going to talk about is the marble issues. Oh my, the Elgin marbles. Yeah, this is just such a silly issue, to be honest. But give them back. Maybe put them out on on loan, whatever. As I think we said in our Pony Club video, the Greeks really didn't get a say in what happened to those marbles, because it was the Ottoman Empire at the time they were under, and of course the Greeks really didn't have a say in what went on with those marbles. But the update, of course, for this morning has been that Charles was at COP26 and he was giving a speech, and people noticed, oh boy did people notice, that he was wearing a tie and he had a pocket handkerchief that was the Greek emblem on embozzled and whatever. Basically, he had a tie and he had a pocket handkerchief with the Greek flag on, and it's caused a bit of a stir. And this has got a lot of people really wondering, because if you remember, before Charles became king, David, Sunak trying to create culture wars with the marbles. Shocking. Yeah, exactly. Looking warm outside. Oh, well, it's not warm outside at all. It's not warm outside at all, my friends. It is quite cold. And this is one thing that people said about Charles. Would he get, or at least would he be more a political king than we've ever had before? And so far, during his, shall we say, kingship, first of all, he's had to read out a king's speech, which before this he would have roundly disagreed with. And at least certainly put out in not too distant terms that, well, I don't agree with the direction that this course of government is taking. And of course he had to read out all these anti-green policies and reversals, to which a lot of people did note, yeah, he didn't really seem that happy about reading those out. A new nickname for Sunak from Rob on Truth to Power, the man from Ankle. Possibly. There we go. Hang on, there we go. And now we've had this scenario take place, of course, during the whole Elgin Marbles row again. What's the point of the King's speech? The King's speech, or at least that particular speech, basically sets out the government's goals for that particular parliament. Because technically we are, a constitutional monarchy. The king still has to give royal assent to any bills that get passed by parliament. That's essentially his job, to basically read out what the government gives him, to say this is what my government is going to be doing. That's basically the whole point of the King's speech. It's a bit of pomp and pageantry, but it's also sort of, think of it as your boss giving like the Monday morning meeting, except that Monday morning meeting lasts for 12 months, essentially. Yeah, like I say, I hope that helps a bit explain what the King's speech in a bit more detail. But that's essentially it in a nutshell. And I have to wonder now, though, if Charles is going to start be a bit more political, because this is what everyone had always said. He was really active a lot for a lot of causes, before coming king. And when he became king, he obviously had to give a lot of those up. But it's not like he's, shall we say, changed. So a lot of people are thinking, is he going to push a lot, maybe, the causes that he cares about? And he's really, Charles is, there we go, Charles is really, really, cares about the environment. That's why he's at COP26. And of course, I think maybe trying to get, Rishi Sunak to reverse it, because it's kind of embarrassing, the fact that you've got Rishi Sunak there, you've got the king there, who, bear in mind, he embarrassed the royal family, did Sunak, if you remember all that scenario where he announced to the world that, we're going to go and reverse on our green pledges. And at the same time he was doing that, you had William at the UN at a green summit, which a lot of people are expecting Rishi Sunak to be at. And instead he's reversing course on all of these green issues. You know, we're suddenly, a quote, a pro-car government. So yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. We're at COP26. We've reversed a lot of our pledges, and yet we're now calling on other countries to fulfill and keep their commitments to climate change promises and pledges, and yet we've just reversed on a number of them. Yeah, it's not the best look, especially when, you know, there's meant to be, you know, negotiations going on from this. It really isn't the best look for us. Rishi Sunak will have to be standing on a box to boost his podium. Sunak spent longer flying to the UAE to the private jet than the time of his speak touch. Exactly. Yeah, none of this is none of this is really good, to be honest. It makes us just look completely embarrassing, to be honest, on the world stage. Oh, Mike, good morning. Apparently Johnson is going to say he's sorry. Oh yes, we were going to come to this. Yes, Johnson's supposed big apology at the COVID inquiry. So that's okay then. Just forget about everything. Oh, I think that's going to piss off a lot of people. I think that's going to piss off a lot of people. We've already expected the whole thing of, oh well, I'm so sorry. Well, it's a bit late for that now, Boris, considering during the pretty much the lead up to this, the constant assurities that we've been given by Conservatives and by Boris Johnson that he was doing everything he possibly could, and, you know, he was getting all the big calls right. Oh, so you got the, quote, vaccine rollout right? That's hardly a massive achievement considering other countries did it as well. And, you know, we had to rely on army logistics to really get the rollout of this vaccine done properly and on time. Many other countries, of course, did not have to rely on their military logistical systems to be able to roll out the vaccine. we did, because because of the Tories gutting the NHS and all those big cutbacks. So yes, we'll see what happens with Boris, as he's due to take the stand next week, but I highly, highly doubt he is going to be, shall we say, celebrated for saying sorry. You know, it's just a little bit too late when we could see the chaos, when we've been hearing about how bad this chaos is for weeks now, and yet, oh, I'm sorry, guys, as if that's going to somehow reform his reputation. And I'll say this now for Hancock, I still cannot make up my mind on his testimony. There's some clear points where it was very obvious he might be lying about what he was saying. Other points he was like, well, look, this is what the case was in, you know, in number 10. It was chaos. I tried my best, you know, but no one listened. You know, there's a lot of people, I think, was it Channel 4 or maybe it was the Sky that had someone from a care home on and said, well, it's not good enough because, you know, those mistakes still happened, of where you sent, COVID patients back into care homes, which probably caused a lot of deaths. There's not a lot of people still very happy with that. And of course, you've got to remember, all this starts and stops with Boris Johnson. Just because Matt Hancock was an absolute, omnishambles does not excuse Boris Johnson from any lack of decision making in all of this. Oh, Sabine, good morning to you. Like I say, good morning to everyone else joining us today. Like I say, please come in, click on the like, click on the share button. Like I say, it'll get more people in, spread the news. We're out on a walk. And it's pretty cold at this moment in time. I still think it's -4, although I don't know. But it's pretty cold. Yeah. I think Matt Hancock is still being positioned to be the fall guy for a lot of this. And I've said this before, I think Matt Hancock should have gone in his speech, just balls to the wall, just come out and said, you know what, this is what happened, this is my truth. And maybe he did try to tell that. I don't know. This is the thing, you can't really trust Matt Hancock to tell the truth sometimes. So even if he was on that stand and what he was saying was like genuinely the truth, to be honest, we've had other people collaborate and say just what an absolute, clusterfuck of a place number 10 was during that time. I mean, Michael Gove was I think the most suspect of this. Will you be walking across the river this morning? I don't know. We'll have to see when we get there. We'll have to see if it's gone down since we last tried. Ben, yeah, Matt Hancock wouldn't know the truth if it snogged him in a stationary cupboard. Yep. Oh, Loki's children, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I do agree with you, Loki. Yeah, that's what he's going to try and focus on. I think he's going to try and apologize for all this. And to be honest, the guy who's been leading this inquiry and been questioning on behalf of the inquiry, I can't remember his name now, has been doing such a good job. So I don't think Johnson's going to get away with a lot, to be honest. Maybe we'll try and live stream it if we can find a live stream. But yes, we will try and live stream it and see what happens. Yes, we are, of course. The usual warnings now need to be given. We are approaching the Barnsley Triangle. If we do cut out for any reason, don't worry, don't panic. We will return to normal service as soon as possible. Always happens when we reach this stage. But yes, please do remember to click on the like and share button while you're there. And of course, down below there are links to help support the channel. From the One Off Donation link where you can buy me coffee, which I'm certainly going to be needing after this walk because it's cold. And of course, there's the Pony Club you can join, the Patreon page as well, and of course the YouTube thank you button as well. So thank you very much to everyone who does support the channel. And like I say, let's see if we can make it through the Barnsley Triangle today. But when this module finishes, for the COVID inquiry, I think once again the public is not going to be very, shall we say, responding well to the Tories again. What's the latest voting intention now? I've seen one this morning. that puts them on like 22%. And Labour's on like 44, I think. So that is a very substantial lead that isn't closing, that Rishi Sunak has been hoping at least for over a year would at least maybe narrow, and then maybe he could go to the polls. Yeah, it's not looking like it's narrowing at all. We've got another big clash happening, or at least going to happen soon, in Parliament, and that's going to be over the Rwanda plan. Because you've got Rishi Sunak now basically being influenced by Suella Braverman, saying that, oh yes, we're going to, not let those international courts stop us from, from doing what we want with refugees, which I'd like to remind them was not an international court that stopped you. It was the British High Court that stopped you in this, or the British, it was British judges that stopped you from doing this. And yet the insistence is that, oh, we're going to continue doing X, Y, and Z. Well, no, the British judges were like, well, actually, we've got to follow international law as well, Rishi. Sorry. So anyway, we've managed to make it through the Barnsley Triangle. Nice little river down by the river as always. Oh, see, now I want to go play Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, exactly, David. Yeah, it was the British Supreme Court who said it was illegal. Exactly. He just keeps on forgetting this, really important facts about who said what, and all this. David, we had to laugh when 30p Lee said he would go to Orkney if the UK rejoined the EU. Hope someone told him. You can hear the river. Oh, no, that's good. Yeah, Lee Anderson. I think you're going to just hear from him even more in the next couple of months, and I do apologise for that. Mostly it is because he is desperate, really desperate. If you look at the voting intentions in his own, seat, they are showing he's not going to return to that seat. He's going to lose it. So he is doing everything he can, or you're probably going to be, should we say, hear him mouthing off more than usual over the next couple of months, especially as we approach a general election, to try and save himself. And here's an interesting tidbit that I need to report back. So someone said to me that one of the reasons why the Tories hadn't been taking Reform's offer was because they wanted more money, because they were being too greedy, and that's why none of the Tories so far have taken their offer. I don't know if that's 100% true, but if it is, it would not surprise me if it was true. Oh. I say, we know how greedy they are. Also, in the recent times, we've had a lot of more Tory MPs come out, of course, once again, being very naughty boys. We've had one of the ministers who's in charge of gambling. Turns out he had a go at the regulator, saying that the regulator was bad. Morning.
Morning.
And that, the regulator was, misusing its authority. to regulate the gambling industry. Turns out he was being paid on a lobbying industry's behalf to lobby on behalf of the gambling industry. Yeah, should we be surprised? I don't think so. Oh. Oh, but yeah, it's more and more of these stories keep on popping up. And of course, you know, we've already got a long queue, shall we say, of Tories already going to face the MP Select Committee on standards. So, you know, that'll be fun, as always. Oh. Now, how are we going to get over this? Hang on. Oh, there we go. Oop, 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 oop. There we go. That's what I was afraid of. Sinking through the ice. Can we? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. There we go. Yeah, don't know if it's true, but it sounds true. Yeah, exactly. It sounds like something they would do. And I'm looking forward to when we get a Labour government in power and they start going after all the PPE stuff. I really hope they start going after all the PPE stuff, because that'll be, oh my word, that will be hilarious on so many levels when they start crying about that. Ben Ridings, Lee Anderson is on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, yes, I would agree with that. She absolutely is. Well, sorry, yeah, he absolutely is our MGT, that's for sure. And yeah, he's going to be more desperate, to be honest. He's going to be so desperate to try and keep his seat over the next couple of months. And yeah, he's just going to get even more extreme, to be honest. Oh yes, the other thing I wanted to talk about is, because I was mentioning that poll earlier on, that now puts the Tories down at like 22% voting intention, which, again, going to be a significant loss of seats if that poll turns out to be true for them. This poll, quite worryingly, though, did put Reform at, there we go, it did put Reform at about 12%, lower than the Lib Dems, who were coming in at 9% on that poll. As I said, probably something we should worry about. Because I do think in the next election we might see maybe one or two Reform MPs manage to just squeak through and get their seats, which will, well, that will be fun to see them speak. And it depends, of course, who gets their seat, because, as I've said before, my own hometown came very, very close to having its own Reform MP last election, and oh boy, if they'd become an MP, put it this way, content for days. Content literally for days over their probable antics of what they would have got up to. But of course, you know, it would have been, you know, the MP of then my hometown, and well, be quite disappointed about that, to be honest. But, you know, I suppose it would have been, you know, the fun thing to cover, you know, maybe once a week, checking on what my crazy MP, my crazy Reform MP was saying in Parliament. Although I dread to think the kind of stuff that would have come up from her. Jesus. Isn't it the Deform Party? Well, this is also the other thing that people might suspect. If they do manage to get maybe like a sizable chunk, there's a lot of people that might say that, well, I suspect, because we saw this happen at a local level. Nearly. Have to be a bit careful. You know, we saw this happen at a local level of Reform UK local councillors jump ship over to the Tories after the local election. And there's a lot of people that might say that if they can influence the Tory party enough and get them to, shall we say, follow them down even further the right-wing rabbit hole that they've been, there we go, going down, then maybe they might join together, because especially if it is going to be left with majority, you know, right-wing crazies, which, well, we might suspect. But then, of course, as we talked about the upcoming civil war again in the future for the Tories, that's going to be an absolute mess for them. Oh. But oh yes, I've got another good fun Tory delusion coming from Coventry this time. Yeah, so we've covered Rotherham, Sheffield, and now Conservatives covetously coveting Coventry. Does that make sense? I don't know. But it sounds a good title, in the least. Oh. Oh, hang on. There we go. I don't know what's more treacherous, doing this when it's wet or doing it when the ground's frozen. Oh. The other thing I've been obviously looking at and done a video today about as well is, of course, the ceasefire. Unfortunately, as I've been telling people, you get a ceasefire, and then what? And I've been proven right on that. Lefty Motor, good morning to you. Definitely big coat weather today. It is absolutely big coat weather on that. Ben Ridings, the slow drip of right-wing extremism from the US is far more prevalent here in Britain, but is still pathetically light. Yes, like I say, that's the Liz Truss effect. Need some ice cleats for these walks. Well, I've got my walking boots on today. But yeah, you're right, I might need maybe something a bit more to dig into them. But like I say, it's just this path that's the always tends to be the problem. Oh, step in that. Go. So yes, I do apologise if I don't pay attention to the screen for a bit. Like I say, I've got to try and stay upright, shall we say. Oh yeah. Yes, so the whole, Israel-Hamas conflict at the moment, yes, I called it right, unfortunately. And like I say, I do not enjoy being right on this one. You know, as I was saying at the time, you're calling for a ceasefire, then what? Without a solid concrete plan to try and bring the fighting to a close, both these sides are just going to go back at it. And what's exactly happened? We've had this ceasefire, and what's happened? They've immediately resumed where they left off. That's just the reality of the situation. And you've now got people now calling for a permanent ceasefire. Oh, because we've had one ceasefire, now let's have a permanent ceasefire. Okay, excellent. How are you going to achieve this permanent ceasefire? How are you going to make sure that both sides follow and maintain these ceasefire? Are you going to call for negotiations? Are you going to do all these other stuffs? No. It just so annoys me that you've got a lot of these people in the anti-war movement who are just like, well, look, if we get peace, somehow it'll you know, all become sunshine and rainbows. And it annoys the heck out of me, because they talk about peace till the cows come home, but they've got no idea about the first thing, about the hard work and negotiating that it takes to actually achieve these. So will there be a second ceasefire? Well, I'll tell you what, there's going to be a lot of talk about it. Again, no doubt over the next couple of months now, but still no concrete solutions. Without a concrete solution to go from, well, now we've called a ceasefire, how do we get peace? How do we stop this conflict? Or, you know, at least bring it to an end? We're just going to end up in a continuous circle of this, just again and again and again. Yeah, exactly, Ben. They really don't think, you know, these take a long time to do, and it is possible to do. I mean, we've done it. This is the thing, we've done it. We did, and managed to sort out a permanent, hang on, you know, a permanent solution to the problems in Northern Ireland. Well, you know, not a permanent solution, because, you know, people say, you know, there's still low-level violence, but, you know, to a point where, oh dear. Sorry, no, piece of ice has just slashed through my outer shoe. Oh well, it hasn't gone through it, but no, that's good. But yes, they just seem completely disengaged with how these things actually work, about how you achieve like these negotiations. And we've seen this all the time through Ukraine, and I always point to the ultimate culprits of this. Just Stop the War Coalition. You know, they have these big hour-long meetings about how we can, you know, about peace, but they never talk about how they intend to achieve that peace. What you know, countries should be doing to be able to achieve that type of, you know, that type of lasting peace. And it's all talk, no real action. and yet they are the biggest group on this. And if you've been following this, if you've looked at other, because there are a lot of other pro-Palestinian groups out there that have been trying during this time to say, hey, look, this is what we actually need to do. This is how we need to go about and do this. They've been drowned out by people like Just Stop the War Coalition, because they're a lot bigger organization, and then they drown them out, and they don't really have an actual solution other than just to call for a ceasefire. We'll have a protest calling for a ceasefire, and as I said, then what? What's your answer after that? And I know there's gonna be someone thinking, or watching this thinking, oh, well, what's your answer? Here's the thing, I don't know the answer, and I'm perfectly fine to say that. You know, I do not have the answer to this. This is an incredibly complex situation. And to reach that answer, I do know how you do it. You've got to get both sides to sit down and really talk about these solutions. If you cannot do that, then, you know, you might as well just be shouting into the atmosphere. But again, even trying to achieve both sides coming to that resolution of, you know, sitting down and talking it out, it's going to be incredibly hard. You know, I'm not naive to think, you know, that's going to be an easy thing to do and achieve, but this is what you don't see many of these groups doing. Thinking about, well, once you've achieved, you know, ceasefire, then what? And then look at Ukraine as well as another example. Because prior to the whole war, prior to the Russian invasion, there were a ton of different separate peace agreements. And Russia did not keep to them. They kept on breaking those peace agreements on this. And this is another thing that they don't, I don't see these sides think about. How do you ensure that these sides keep to these peace agreements? Because Russia sure didn't, and that was prior to its current invasion. Tom. It's not just about peace, it's about reconciliation. Alas, both Netanyahu and Hamas are not interested in that. Yeah, I've said this before, Tom, you are right. There will be no peace in the Middle East so long as Hamas is a power. And of course, as long as, you know, you've got the right-wing Benjamin Netanyahu in there, he's not going to do anything about it. He doesn't care. He wants to keep this war going because he's trying to save himself. Oh, morning. Like I say, he's facing a ton of corruption charges. One of the most corrupt ministers, you know, Israel has ever seen. He's got a ton of trials, and the second he leaves office, he's got to face those trials. So he's trying to save himself from those. So he sees the continuation of this war as you know, a bonus for him. So he's got no reason to stop it. But we are at least seeing public sentiment massively turn against him. You know, there have been a lot of protests against Netanyahu in Israel. So maybe there might be a chance that you get rid of, you know, that they get rid of him. But then who takes his place? Well, I don't know. That's for sure. Like I say, I don't follow, you know, Israeli politics that closely to be able to name, you know, who's going to take over, who's going to be the power players, etc. In that type of area. Jonin. The problem is that currently both sides making decisions want hostilities and atrocities to continue. What people want is irrelevant. Yep, exactly. I haven't heard about that, to be honest. I haven't heard about that they've discovered oil reserves within Gaza. There we go. Also, if we can get past, there we go, nearly. If we can get past here, then we should be all right. So yeah, I do apologise because ow again. I've done a bit of a real downer of a video this afternoon, so I do apologise for about that. This afternoon's video already about this subject, but to be honest, I think it needs to be said, and I think some people just need to look at reality and what they're calling for. Don't get me wrong, I want peace in the Middle East. It would be fantastic if we could achieve that, but to achieve that is going to be a lot of hard work, and it's going to involve a lot of people sitting down and negotiating, doing a lot of really hard graft and compromising and looking, and as I think Tom said, reconciliation about a ton of different things that have gone on, how you achieve that. And it's possible, it can be done. We've done it with the Good Friday Agreement. That's one of the most successful agreements in history to bring about an end to sectarian violence. So it can be done. It can be done. But you've got to sit down and you've got to really talk about it and do the hard graft. And that's what we don't see. And that's really what we don't see during this, which to be honest really is the big shame in this. Oh, that was good. It was good I had my hat there then. But yes, unfortunately, that conflict is going to sort of reignite again, and there's going to be a lot of casualties, and I think a lot of people are going to feel really powerless about the whole situation, which I think, to be honest, is to sort of be expected from a lot of people. We'll see what the response is, and we'll see if people do. But I would say to a lot of people, calling for peace, calling for another ceasefire and a permanent ceasefire is not a bad thing to do. So don't feel bad if you were out there and you were out in London, or you've been at a campaign event calling for a ceasefire. I would say this now: do not feel bad about that, because ultimately your campaigning did have a good effect, even though somewhat limited. What needs to happen now is there needs to be a serious thought about what happens next beyond just that. If you continue this, you need to be called Hard Hat now. Well, this is one of the things that I've always seen and seen in politics. A lot of people think that politics and doing politics is really easy and you can bring about change, really easy and quickly. But that's not the case. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of talking, negotiating, and compromising with different sides. And that's what, unfortunately, we don't tend to see a lot of, unfortunately. And we've talked about this before about, the left in the UK needs to, it needs to get over Corbyn, say, well, actually had some good things, but overall, was he a good leader for the party? Not really. And, it needs to go, look, we've got a lot more Starmer's taken the party a lot more left-centrist than a lot of us would like. But that's not the fact that, we can't go out and do good things. There are good progressive policies that you could get on the board and you could get Starmer behind. And unfortunately, at the moment, that's not happening with a lot of people on the left because they're still, crying over Corbyn, which is like, get over it. We're about to have a Labour government. We're about to have probably a really progressive majority in Parliament, which can do a lot of really good stuff. And that's what we should be looking forward to now. But no, unfortunately, that's not the case. And I know I am being a bit of a Debbie Downer a bit. But that's just reality of politics sometimes. And there are a lot of people who, don't get me wrong, I think looking at things and having, your beliefs and saying, this is the world I want to see, that's not a bad thing. I do that as well from time to time. I would love to see a far, far, far more progressive, Britain than we've got now. That's for sure. But it's how do you get there? How do you build those alliances? How do you build the ground and momentum for these changes to take place? And I'm hopefully confident that we are going to see, maybe not this Parliament, but certainly the next Parliament, we are hopefully going to see big pushes for things like PR, for, reforming the House of Lords, which I've said before, I think should take priority over reforming the voting system. I think we've got to reform the House of Lords first before we tackle Westminster, because I think there's a lot more groundswell and public support for doing that than there is changing the voting system initially in Westminster. But I think if you achieve that in the House of Lords, I then think that it can then build on top of that groundswell and that push for Westminster voting reform. So again, sorry, it's just this such sharp ground because it's so frozen, and then if I tip into like one of these little divots, it really hurts. And like I say, it's already cut through an outer point of my shoe, which is quite worrying now, because well, that's not waterproof anymore. that's a bit of a shame. Oh well, never mind. But yes, that's just the current state of the world, unfortunately. Oh yes, for those of you who haven't seen, Graham, of course, is out in Ukraine delivering a heap ton of Lego. I say a heap ton. I don't know what the technical measurement of a heap ton is. But, no pony this time. There we go. There we go. But yes, he's been out there delivering Lego, doing some good work out over there as well. So, round of applause. And if you've got a spare penny or two, I think you can still donate to their cause. I think. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, if not, go give a donation to Graham, because I'm sure he'd appreciate, and I'm certainly sure there'll be a lot of kids in Ukraine who would really appreciate getting those gifts this year. So, going to the end of our walk now. Like I say, sorry for being such a bit of a downer, unfortunately. But these things need to be said from time to time, unfortunately. You know, people do need a reality check of what the real situation of it is, what it really takes to this. And if you are like, well, I want to do something, you know, I want to make this change, here's what you do. Your local party is probably looking for a lot of volunteers to do leafleting and door knocking. My advice to you is go out and do that. You know, go out and do that. Get involved in that. Because even though it might not seem like much, doing stuff like that at a local level can have a real big impact. You know, and I've said before, local politics is very, very important, just as national politics is. So I'll be out there at some point, going on to knock on those doors myself, or at least leaflet drop at some point as well, in the not too distant future. I don't know if you can see him because I can't see the screen. Oh, there he is. Oh. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed your good morning walk this morning. It's been quite a cold one, but I'll tell you what, once you get walking, it soon warms up. Soon warms up. Oh, there we go, that's better. At least we're not in the direct sun. And we've got some ponies in the background, there you go. So, as always, thank you very much. There we go. Thank you very much for joining us today on today's Good Morning Walk. Like I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. Keep an eye out, of course, for more videos coming out as always. If you are new, do remember to hit the subscribe button. And of course, do remember to hit the like and share button on your way out. And of course, do remember to leave a comment as well. That helps feed the algorithm, as they say. So, yes, thank you very much for joining us. And as always, have a very fun weekend. If you can't be safe, at least be sensible, as they say. So enjoy yourselves. Have fun, and of course we'll see you all next time for another Good Morning Walk.